Yoo Ah In has been making headlines for his illegal substance controversy for over a year now, and although the public has had a lot to say about him, not a lot of people know where the problem actually started. For those who aren't aware, Ah In has been under investigation for the use of illegal substances since February of 2023. He was practically at the peak of his career when the news hit the public, so it sent shockwaves throughout all of Korea. The prosecution claimed he illegally obtained these substances between September 2020 and March 2022, under the guise of using them as anesthesia for his cosmetic procedures. It turns out he got a hold of the substances around 181 times and even obtained sleeping pills under false names. Authorities claimed he didn't only use them for supposed medical procedures, but potentially for recreational use as well. The evidence obtained by the prosecution very obviously showed a pattern of addiction, but despite this, most of the public didn't feel any sympathy towards Ah In. South Korea has a notoriously strict stance on illegal substances, making this situation all the more tougher for him. Some fans were genuinely worried about his well-being, wondering what the underlying issues were that might have pushed him down this path. Fans were completely in shock when the investigation team revealed details about Ah In's use of a sleep-inducing substance. According to the authorities, Ah In's records showed he used the substance over 73 times in 2021 alone. While this number might not tell you much on its own, the context paints a very alarming picture. Experts typically prescribe this medication in quantities ranging from 5 to 10 milliliters per use. However, the investigation revealed that Ah In consumed roughly 6 times that amount. Fans started to worry that if the authorities had never started investigating this, Ah In's life could have been on the line. Unfortunately, there was also a big part of the public that was anything but empathetic. Netizens, known for their unforgiving nature, subjected him to intense online criticism and social ostracization. They have been showing him absolutely no mercy, even attacking him in public. The public backlash has been so brutal that Ah In has objectively been facing worse treatment than some convicted felons. His career definitely felt the heat too, since his projects have been evaporating left, right, and center. Ever since the scandal hit the tabloids, he's been dropped from several dramas, and it looks like he won't be ever able to star in popular TV shows in Korea again. Long before Ah In was even swept up in all this trouble, Korean netizens already seemed to have a problem with him. Over the years, he didn't shy away from expressing himself, which is what drove people to criticize him for his so-called unconventional personality. We all know public figures in the Korean entertainment industry are expected to act a certain way, and Ah In simply wasn't having it. Unlike many of his colleagues who maintain a carefully curated image, Ah In wasn't afraid to share his political views or participate in social activism. This outspokenness sometimes got him in quite a bit of trouble, whether it was engaging with online hate or posting controversial content on social media. Something that only further complicated his public image was the issue of his military service exemption. He was deemed unfit to serve in the military after he was diagnosed with a bone tumor. While this was a legitimate reason for him not to partake as an active duty soldier, some netizens still questioned his exemption, which only increased the amount of backlash he was already receiving. Knets claimed he was just trying to avoid his service, which is extremely far-fetched considering he had an actual medical problem. This bone tumor, which he was diagnosed with back in 2017, might have also been one of the main reasons why Ah In turned to using illegal substances. While his agency downplayed the severity of his illness, stating it wasn't life-threatening and barely impacted his daily life, the condition was serious enough to render him unfit for his mandatory military service. Explaining his situation a bit more, they wrote, "There are no difficulties in his day-to-day life. We are watching his prognosis. We never said that he was battling his illness, and we don't know where that phrase came from." During this time of his life, Ah In was very busy undergoing several examinations. Reports stated he was undergoing treatment to manage the intense pain he was experiencing, potentially exposing him to the illegal substances he's now accused of misusing. Cancer patients in remission often experience chronic pain, leading to a high risk of dependence on pain-relieving medications. According to reports, one of the substances Ah In tested positive for possessed such a high addiction potential that doctors are legally bound to only prescribe 10 milligrams per day to their patients. Ah In wasn't only suffering from a bone tumor because he had a pretty serious collarbone injury as well. He severely fractured his left collarbone in 2016, which he also received pain-relieving medication for. Ah In has never publicly stated that there's a link between his medical history and his current problems, but it definitely wouldn't be strange if the management of his chronic pain accidentally paved the way for his substance use problems. During Ah In's 5th trial session in court, the public public was finally provided with some clarity around the reasoning behind his substance use. A psychiatrist named Dr. Oh testified during the session and revealed that Ah In was prescribed some of the substances due to his severe depression. He shared that Ah In had visited his office around 46 times over the span of 4 years, starting from June 2021 all the way to 2024. Explaining some of his symptoms, the psychiatrist said, "You had difficulty sleeping, felt chronic depression, and experienced heart palpitations and discomfort when meeting people. For those who have been following his case very closely, this isn't new information whatsoever." Back in January of this year, Ah In's lawyers revealed during one of the trials that he suffered from depression, panic attacks, and a sleeping disorder for a very long time. They confessed that he became dependent on the substances while receiving various types of treatments. He initially only got in contact with these substances during the process of receiving treatment, not because he sought after prescriptions solely with the intention of using the substances recreationally. Although the public was already aware that Ah In was struggling with his mental health, the details his psychiatrist shared in court were incredibly alarming. Dr. Oh further shared that Ah In had been receiving treatment for depression since he was 27 years old. The doctor was aware that he had grown to be dependent on one of the prescribed substances as he was using way more of it than he used to. Even more shocking is how severe Ah In's mental health struggles were, as Dr. Oh revealed his depression, insomnia, and panic disorder were so severe that hospitalization was recommended. He said, "When I looked at his chart during the second visit, I recommended short-term hospitalization. However, Yoo Ah In said that it was impossible due to his schedule. Although Ah In's condition was awful, he didn't return to his psychiatrist's office for a long time. When he finally went back on April 29th in 2022, Dr. Oh was taken aback by how much his condition had worsened. He revealed that Ah In had lost a tremendous amount of weight and that he had been contemplating taking his own life." Sharing more shocking details, Dr. Oh said, "He mentioned feeling restless, anxious, unable to concentrate, and distracted, which I also noted in his chart. Due to these symptoms, I remember prescribing medication to help control his anxiety." The psychiatrist also elaborated on some of Ah In's darkest thoughts, revealing that the situation was a lot more alarming than anyone would have known. Dr. Oh explained that it seemed like Ah In wanted to run away from the drama set at one point. Not only that, it seemed like he wanted a break from life completely. He had very dark thoughts about taking his own life, and it didn't look like those thoughts were recent. As heartbreaking as it is, Ah In had been having those ideas for a very long time without anyone knowing about it. He probably realized the severity of his situation. As his doctor stated, he behaved very differently compared to other celebrities. Explaining this a bit more, he said, "Other famous people and celebrities also come for consultations. The difference with Yoo Ah In is his chronic symptoms. A notable point is that the consultation times were very long. While other celebrities often requested only medication like just control my sleep or just control my panic disorder, Yoo Ah In had consultations lasting about an hour and a half to 2 hours, even from the first visit. He was taking his treatment very seriously, and despite his hectic situation right now, he's still trying his best to cure his depression." Sharing details on his current progress, Dr. Oh said, "Yoo Ah In is making a lot of effort. Since the incident, he has been honest about the treatment direction. Whereas he used to come irregularly due to his busy schedule, he now comes regularly every 4 weeks. Even though Ah In is getting the help he needs, his process has been anything but easy. There's been very little sympathy for his struggles due to the heavy stigma around substance use in Korea. In the past, many idols and actors have spoken up about how difficult it is to get help when you're going through issues like these. Former Winner member Nam Tae-hyun recently spoke up about the difficulties of getting the right treatment and support when you're battling addiction in Korea. Without government support, recovery programs and facilities remain limited, making it difficult for both celebrities and ordinary citizens to access proper treatment. Luckily, more and more people are seeing Ah In's substance use as the result of an issue that wasn't solved and something that should have warranted help instead of punishment.